specialist. I'll be the first caller for 911. Something goes down, something happens to me. Edwards will be my backup. We got an AEDs out in the hallway if you'll go get it. First aid kit sitting over here on the table for me or anything. If we do have a fire in the building or have an emergency, need to leave, priority to go this way. Edwards will lead y'all out. I'll be the last one to follow out, make sure everybody's out. If we have to go, can't get this way, we'll go out this door. Go to the right, go out that door, across the parking lot. Again, Edwards will be the first one out. I'll be the last. As far as a runner, if somebody goes down, we have to get 911 here. We'll probably send Edwards out because he's got a key to get back in. Unless he's going down. Bathroom, right here outside the door to the left. There's another one that's a single stall out to the right. Break room over there to the left if somebody wants to go get something, a snack or soda, whatever. Got some water in the cooler over here. And go ahead. Welcome.
Thank you.
So next meeting we got lined up is February 22nd, 1:30.
Thank you for letting us use your place.
Oh, you're welcome.
Parrish, you want to start with the presentation?
I can, if that's what you would like. Sure. Do you want to do introductions first, or you want to do that after I do my presentation? It's up to you.
Let's do that.
Okay. Okay. So welcome to the UCC. Obviously, the folks online have already populated their information since they're old school about doing that. Welcome to January 2023 of the Guilford County UCC. Just taking a quick look at the picture here. Hopefully that's nowhere in the United States of America, because this individual is definitely in a hole that needs to be shielded, sloped, or shored. There, it looks like a wooden ladder to me, and this, from the coloration of the excavator, it looks like it might be in a foreign country, South America or something like that. But yeah, that's definitely unsafe. The spoil pile is obviously closer than 2 foot. It's right on the bank edge. So this individual's in a world of trouble. Here is a message from Mr. Louis Panzer. He is the executive director. Welcome to 2023. We at 811 are bracing for more volume in the upcoming, always spring. As the weather starts to break, folks want to do more. The days get longer, and the folks who are actually doing the fiber overbuilds and the roadway projects, building new subdivisions, obviously is more daylight and more time for them to go out there and work too. So with that being said, we're hoping that if you are in the locating, or you have locators on your staff, that you're gearing up to meet this volume as well. The Northfield Dig Logics is coming. It's supposed to be operational, and the Web TMS is going away by the end of this year, sometime around October. If you haven't signed up, now there is an annual fee to use that, but it's more user-friendly. It'll assist the excavators and the locators in managing the tickets and sharing the tickets, the locators. From what I've seen on the demo, and you can go check it out yourself on the demo, Northfield does have a demo, and they'll reach out to you and give you pricing for all that too. But it is coming in October. Last but not least, patience plus planning plus process equals productivity. Just his 4 P's. Yes, sir. Yeah, the Dig Logic. Yeah. Yes, that's what the Web TMS is going away.
So, something will be a Dig Logic interface with my core with, it's like the current system does.
It should, yep. It's replacing Web TMS. So if you have Web TMS now, Dig Logic is going to replace that. Yep. Good question. Thanks, Chuck. This is another sheet. If you go to the DIRT report, and it's just showing you that they're giving you more causes for you to populate the information for your root cause. So the theory is if you have more choices, the end product or the end data is going to be a little more pinpointable, if that's a word, right? You can really dig down into what caused the issue to begin with this better sheet.
So if somebody calls in a cut cable or something, say one of us got something, call it in, these are the questions they're gonna ask us.
Well, if you go online, you can actually do it online too. But yeah, these are the questions they'll be asking you, but you can populate this stuff online if you go out onto the site website. All right, I think the video did not upload, but it was just a highlight. Has anybody seen the video yet from last year? I'll see if I can go find it for the meeting's over with then. So this is obviously across the state of North Carolina every time. And you can see we're looking at December last month versus December 2021. And the ticket requests for those two timeframes was a 5% increase. Year to date, a 7.1% increase. Transmissions, again, December last month versus 2021 is a 1.5% increase. Overall, we finished up a 3.5% increase over 2021. So we finished up at, I'm sorry, I want to go back to this slide. We finished up year to date 2,497,873 locate requests. So just shy of 250,000, which is a lot. Guilford County, you can see the 3-hour increase, 3.8%. The new ticket request actually went down 19.1% in December. So I can only equate that to folks using the vacation, right? You use it or lose it. And then the holidays coming up too, folks were out of town as well. The ticket update, unfortunately, did increase 17.3, even though this was down, the ticket. Yeah. So this is not for this county, but I got one the other day. I was looking, and this individual, they shall remain nameless, called a 19-mile project. Right. So I'm like, you can't do that. Well, the project manager, I said, I don't care what the project manager said, you can't call in 19 miles of project all at one time. Number one, you can't work 19 miles. And then you're going to update 12 days from now, you're going to update that whole 19 miles. I said, and the individual who's letting me know has got one locator.
They called in 76 tickets, each one a quarter of a mile long. 76 tickets at one time. And then gonna continue.
And he called, well, I take that back. He called half of them in the morning and the other half in the afternoon. But he called them all in one day. Yeah.
2 weeks will update.
Every 12 days, he's going to update those tickets. Yep. So I got on the front end of that and told him don't do that anymore. Yep. It can't be done. Ansco Associates are part of the driver for this updates. They're installing some telephone for AT&T. They don't know how long it's going to take. They're on their 11th update. Diversified Utility Group is doing some cable install. They said it's going to take 15 days for Duke Energy. They're on their 5th update. And then Southeast Connection, they're one of they always make the top update list in Guilford County. They're installing gas for Piedmont Natural Gas, yeah, / Duke Energy. So, yeah. So my thing is, and I tell the Duke Energy, the Piedmont Gases world, I said, guys, every time a ticket is requested and a ticket is updated, you guys are getting sent a transmission bill, right? So it's affecting you. The folks who are working for you, you're paying them to call these updates in, are affecting your bottom line and your O&M costs every time they update a ticket. And I know why they do it, because I retired out of Piedmont Natural Gas Company. They do it for filler work or call them in at one time and just keep updating them. So if it becomes available when you go out there, we can go out there and do it. Well, I try to tell them only call in a couple or three. Don't do your whole database. Just 1 or 2, 3 at the most. Then I bring those numbers down.
Okay, quits change when you compare the speed limit with work rate 1 minute.
Yes. The year-to-date 3-hour, and this is going to be all of 2022, it did increase 31.8%. New tickets over the year, 2.5, and then obviously we saw 3 examples of a ticket update, 5.6% increase. All right, so Guilford had 7,503 locate requests the last month. You can see Greensboro came out on top. High Point actually 1659, and Joe can attest to that they're pretty busy. As a reminder, if you are a utility owner or you're an excavator out there and you actually damage a utility, your first call, if it's an emergency, should be to 911 after you secured the scene. If it is not an emergency, it should be to the utility owner. Second call should be to 811. We do ask the utility operators to pick up the phone and call 811 to make sure that the excavator had called it in, right? Because if they didn't, then we can get that information from the utility owner. And that's the only way we can capture those numbers, because a lot of times people don't want to call in and say, hey, man, I put in water and I hit the power. I put in water and I hit the gas. They don't want to tell them themselves. So we do ask the utility owners to call that in. So last month, damages reported in Guilford County, you only had 32. So either Guilford County is doing really, really good, or people aren't reporting those damages. Save the date. So if you are a chairperson, co-chair, or secretary, we are asking you to attend the North Carolina, South Carolina Joint UCC this year. And it's coming up quick, May the 3rd through the 5th. This year it's going to be at Harris of Cherokee. And I think the 3rd is the Wednesday, so they'll play golf that day. And then the business meeting will be Thursday. And then half a day Friday, they'll give you time to travel home Friday afternoon. So always a good event, well attended. Again, South Carolina will have folks from up there, and then North Carolina will send a contingent as well. Again, if you want to know what's going on within the NC 811 world, just like Chris, he went on the NC UCC calendar, populated his information in there so he can receive the invite for Guilford County. You can do that yourself. You can put somebody else's information in there. Or if you're really lazy, you can reach out to Parish. I could populate it and then click on multiple counties for you. I didn't tell you that earlier, Chris, because I wanted you to do that. If I teach a man to fish, I'm teaching you to fish, right? Instead of giving you a fish, right? There is your good-looking NC 811 education team led by Miss Ann Rushing. And then thank you for your time and attention. A copy of this PDF, along with the video minutes and the sign-in roster, we'll add you guys that are online to the sign-in roster, so you'll get credit for being here. Will be uploaded shortly after I get home this afternoon. All right, barring any questions and or comments, that concludes my presentation, Dylan.
Thank you, Parish.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, around moving documents, they won't get into old business or new business. You guys, if you want to start?
I'm Jeff Smith, like I said earlier, I'm one of the supervisors here in Greensboro. Been with the company 35 years. I was a lineman and a resource specialist. I did a lot of the planning for the jobs and all that stuff, with working with 811 and all that.
Jeff Utter with Duke Energy, current journeyman lineman, transition over to resource specialist.
Thank you. Dylan Kirk, with USIC, I supervise the Greensboro area.
Chris McCandless, Accurate Locating Services LLC. Been 30 years in the utility industry in the public side. Started my own company this year, doing private locates. I work for USIC and a lot of other different rotating companies.
Carlos Perez, I work for City High Point. I do water sewer locates. Been with them 14 years.
David Owens, City of High Point, I've been utility locates, been with them 30.
Joe Holton, City of High Point, Water and Sewer Superintendent. I've been in the water and sewer industry, well, utility industry for 26 years.
Chuck Austin with Williams Gas Pipeline, Transcontinental Pipeline. I'm the right-of-way lead for the North Carolina North District, which runs from south of Kernersville to the Virginia state line, and then the Cardinal Lateral runs from our station in Reedsville, from near Reedsville to Clayton. And I've been with Williams Transco 30 years.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Got two online.
Oh, yeah. Matt, you want to introduce yourself?
Matt Parsons. I'm with Lumen Level 3. I'm a lead outside plant tech for North Carolina.
Thank you. And then who's that? Did I say Jeff Brown?
Jeff Brown, yes, sir.
Yes, this is Jeff. I'm Bridge Maintenance Supervisor for Guilford County NCDOT.
Great. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody, for joining. It's been a while since we've had a UCC meeting for Guilford. So I don't think we'll go to old business. We go around and start new business. Anybody has any new business that'd be useful for this meeting? No. That's fair. You guys do you have anything?
So new business, will be projects, near misses, issues with locating.
I know they were having some issues with AT&T not being able to have their stuff communicate with 811, so we were getting 99s on our locates.
But they were locating them, but the positive response said 999.
So we started even digging with that code. So we were having to call AT&T. Get verification, man, was just added another step. Took time for us to do what we had to do.
Did they ever get that resolved, Jeff?
I have not heard anything inside.
Uh,
Been dealing with it.
That-
AT&T getting you.
All right, let me reach out to Leslie Brouillard. She's over member services and find out if they're still having trouble with that.
I was asked to see if we could find a contact for Segra. which I think is owns North State now, or does locate for North State.
J&J Underground does that.
J&J Underground.
Yeah, they do. North State owned by Lumos. LUMOS. But J&J Underground is doing the locating for them.
Seems like Sigma might be a fiber competitor of North States.
I think State says
Formerly Spirit.
Spirit.
Who was?
Spirit.
Says Segra, formerly Spirit.
Yeah, it's a fiber company. I think Stake Center Locating is who does their.
Yeah, that sounds right. I had a couple of issues. They came back with code 60 saying they had spoke to us. We agreed
Set up
for
a meeting,
a
yeah.
later date, and that screwed up my job. And push out my job.
I have the original.
Because you
I have
didn't
the-
speak to anybody.
I
Yeah.
called the company and they're like, well, we're not working today, so we'll try and get to it.
Did they say why they're populating 60s?
60 to set up a meeting, right? Or did you have it?
When I called 811 to verify it, they said that they said that says locator and excavator have agreed and documented to a later date.
Yep.
Yeah. And see,
no
you
one
might
had
have to look
called.
into that because a lot of times what locators will do, they'll be forced to extend their tickets from their supervisors and management. And a lot of them will just go through a code 60.
Yeah, that's what he told me. If we're not gonna get to it in the time frame, we just code 60.
Code 60 and just say, you know,
Yeah.
it keeps it from going 999.
They still need a contact.
Yeah, they still need to pick up the phone.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. That's a trick that locators have been doing.
How do you know that, Chris?
I've supervised a lot of them.
I've never used the 60 unless I have contacted.
Yeah, and they're supposed to document who they spoke to. And things like
It needs to say in writing, not just documented,
Right.
but in writing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They also have a drop spot, they say not complete, which I think will work better.
Well, sometimes the contract won't let them do that. AT&T contract won't let them do that.
Not
They
completely,
don't get paid for it.
not completely. The work is already started. Or it may be an updated ticket, or the work is already begun, it's not complete or something, but. I mean, that's how I use it, but I never use a 60 unless I've spoken to the person's name that's on the ticket. And we have agreed to meet at a certain time or something, and I document that on the ticket.
The prudent thing to do is have all your bases covered, have a phone number and a name. If you can't get a hold of anybody, you document voicemail or text message to this number. That's the bare minimum that you're trying to communicate. But a lot of times what will happen is that these guys have 40 tickets that are going past due. So they stop at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, trying to make phone calls to everybody. They'll just code 60 out even if they get a voicemail, they don't leave a message, they don't necessarily notate the ticket proper way. But they have something they have to do in order to show the utility owner that we're making some sort of effort. And it's very big during dig season in the middle of summer, where you have a lot of work going on and not enough people handling it. But we've always taught our guys that you have to either leave a voicemail message or get in touch with somebody, not just, but you'll find that they do that a lot just to get, you know, and I hate to say it, get their supervisors off their back, you know, and it helps try and cover themselves.
Was there any repercussion?
A lot of contractors won't
This
pick up.
stuff.
A lot, you're right, a lot of contractors won't pick up.
Pick up. They're calling everything.
Or to be a bad number, be to the office and they don't know what's going on out in the field.
Email there. On the sheet. There's an email on the ticket, then sending an email is the paper trail. And then we always had suggested, send an email, you've got proof that you did something. Try and get in touch with somebody. But an email is better than not calling anybody at all, right?
Well, when you asked about what you could do so that your job doesn't get delayed is, you could do a 3-hour notice. And that will probably get the locator's attention and get somebody out there, on your time frame. That would be, when you see a code 60 come in, that would be what you could do.
Yeah, and it's a really good tool, the 3-hour when it's used properly. To grab that locator's attention or the supervisor's attention. Hey, we got a 3-hour, why do we have a 3-hour over here? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I haven't been able to get to it. Okay, we'll drop what you're doing and go over there. And they were always treated with priority.
So,
Because in 3 hours, you can technically, legally, you can continue your job and not be responsible. You don't want to do that and put yourself in danger, but you have something to work with there.
Just because they call in a 3-hour ticket doesn't take the responsibility away from me because of
Not until the 3 hours is up. Not until the 3 hours is up. Once the 3 hours is up and they haven't responded yet, then it takes the responsibility and puts it on the locator. So it gives you a tool to operate so that if you're held up, you're not held up more than a certain number of hours.
So we're being told, we've told our guys that if we do not have a positive response, it's our responsibility. They have to start and digging.
That's the safest thing to do.
Yeah, well, I understand when you're dealing with gas and power and stuff like that,
Right.
but if I'm gonna cut AT&T or if I'm gonna cut, that's not gonna hurt anybody. But I don't want to cut a main line somewhere or fiber. You know, so
It's, like I said, it's another tool you have in your bucket that if you don't have anything volatile, it's not gonna get anybody hurt. And your time frame is up, your ticket's due or past due, and nobody's responded. You're telling the utility owner that 3 hours, I plan on digging, whether there's marks or not, we need to get somebody out here to locate this stuff. We'll be as careful as we can, but that takes responsibility off of Duke's, shoulders and puts it on the utility owner's shoulders.
so is it the same thing after 3 days?
Not
If you
unless you
really
call it
come
3
out.
hours.
Well, the law says if you gotta do your 3-day, check your positive response. If they hadn't located within the 3 days, you have to do your 3-hour before you send the crew out.
And then
Once you're done your 3-day, your 3 hours, by law, you can go out there and dig with care. What's dig with care look like? Yours might be with a spoon and a brush. Mine might be with an excavator going wide open. Woo, digging with care. Right, it's objective.
Fibers, short succession. And bear in mind, there's lots of different factors. I'm not. Does get their attention when a 3-hour is called in, they're treated with priority.
I don't have, either larger company. But one of these gentlemen mentioned contractors. And, so it really gripes me, when you call the contact number that's on the locate ticket. And it goes to voicemail, and then you get, we're sorry, mailbox is full, can I accept your more messages? Goodbye. and they never answer the phone. And you can't leave a message for them to return your call. Because they might be the person out there on the excavator digging or something like that. If it's a small, contractor, person, a small company or a small business. But that still doesn't relieve them of the responsibility that if you put your name down on locate request as being the primary contact, you should be able to be reached sometime.
Or be responsible, no check your messages.
Or not have a mailbox that's full. If that's the only number you got, your voicemail box should start being full.
Messages, right?
You know, when you can't leave a message, I've had that happen plenty of times with individual contractors. It's really frustrating. Because, I tell everybody I live and die by those tickets. And in our business, a lot of times it is, could be life or death. When you're talking about,
Digging on some.
large down a high pressure natural gas pipeline. You don't get a second chance. Not like you cut a phone line or,
Right.
Something like that.
But you're talking about these 3-hour calls. I have to call in the first call first, then add a 3-hour call to it.
Yeah, if your ticket comes due after the 72-hour window and the positive response says they haven't responded, then by law, you need to call in a 3-hour, because it gives them a 3-hour window to get out there and respond before you're legally able to do it.
Emergency.
You could do it.
So legally, emergency is still 3 working days. But most folks who have facilities out on the ground like to protect it, and they'll usually respond. It's not written in law within about 2 hours or 3 hours.
Well, that's what we've been told, but sometimes we never see it.
Yeah, we get a loss of service and you have to put back somebody back in service. Emergencies take priority, and then that's when people, you have locators on call for a lot of these locating, or a lot of these facility owners. But what used to happen, and you've been around long enough, contractors would use emergencies as, oh crap, I forgot to call in the locating tickets, let's just call an emergency. And it get into a gray area. Now they're starting to use those 3 hours for the same purpose. When my ticket, the ticket goes past due, and somebody's not on site, they call in, I've had them do it to me, call in 50 3-hour tickets for the entire job, even though they're only working on 3 tickets over here, because they want the entire job marked up. And it gets into a gray area, but the 3-hour, if you're having problems with them showing up on jobs that you're actively working on, 3-hour tickets the way to go. After that 72-hour window is expired, it's the best way to go because it grabs their attention.
Did you guys have any more new business for the meeting?
Every issue. Those are the only things I have.
Okay, well, yeah, we got a lot out of that. Thank you.
It says, I'm sorry, it says Cindy Summers with State Center manager in Greensboro is on the line, but I don't see her on there.
I actually live across the street from somebody here.
So that was just me typing in our
Across the
information for you
street.
guys.
CEO
Someone
of
wanted
State
someone
Center.
for Stake Center.
If you have some concern, I might be able to get in touch with him.
Do they, on one's website, do they have contact for?
He's the CEO of Secra.
State Center.
Okay.
If you guys have a card, I can get it over to her and have her forward it over to him.
I don't get some cards anymore. Most of my cards look like this.
All right.
Okay, no. I'm not laughing at that, Jeff. Won't go on record camera. I didn't laugh at it.
We had something come up recently, Integra Water, or I think they all go by Old State Water, or North Old State Water. I don't think they're showing up on the tickets. It's a rural water company. I think they do wells, kind of like Aqua, but their code isn't showing up on tickets. And I think excavators are having to call 811 and ask it to be added. So I don't know how to resolve that, so I thought I'd bring it up.
Are we certainly remember?
I have no idea.
Yeah, they gotta be member form to be added to that.
Yeah, that'd be something Leslie can.
Where are they out of?
Uh,
So if they're not a member, you have to contact them separately. Remember back in the 90s? You working in the 90s? Okay, back in the 90s, the old Uloco only contacted so many folks, like the city of Jamestown, Davidson Water, different entities. You had to pick the phone up separately from 811 and reach out to those folks. So you had to know that they weren't on the 811 list. Yep.
Anyway, I thought I'd bring that up today. Other new business, I don't know, I used, a contract from Duke that I met at this meeting, Seth. He's gonna help us with, training with my locators. So I would encourage you guys to network out, reach out to each other. This meeting can be helpful. Chris, do you have anything?
On the private locating side, not a whole lot. I try to educate homeowners as much as possible. And I know that I've discussed this in other county UCC meetings where I educate them about the North Carolina utility law and what the 811 law requires them to do, what's expected. A lot of people reach, they ask me a bunch of questions. But on the private side, I don't really deal a whole lot with public utility locating. Other than trying, seeing as I have the experience with public utility locating. On the private side, we're always looking for other jobs and stuff like that. I have done work for utility owners and contractors that need private locating on certain commercial properties, things of that nature, but haven't run into any public locating issues or any 811 issues in the private sector. Just kind of representing the private sector as much as I possibly can.
Thanks, Chris. Glad to hear it. You guys at High Point have any new business?
Just a, caution slash, well, we'll just leave the word caution. Obviously, there's a lot of boring going around, with 5 or different companies coming in. Lumos bought out North State, like I mentioned earlier, every place and every bit of the fiber, just replaced a year or two ago. We have had some issues with some of their contractors wanting to pick for quite a bit. And, I will say that, Lumos was very proactive. We are no longer dealing with that contractor. They told me they didn't want them in the area anymore. They made sure that we got compensated for our damages. Made some good contacts with them, so if any of y'all have issues with any of the contractors that are working for Lumos, we do have their project managers number and things like that, and they are very, very good to work with.
What were some of were they just digging early or?
They were just disregarding marks, work spotting things.
Okay.
I think most of it, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, most of it was usually located, they were just not paying attention to the marks. They were trying to get footage, and didn't want to worry about where things were in their line of footage.
They had a problem with that in Charlotte as well.
Yeah.
We had so many contractors that were working for Hansco and AT&T putting this stuff in, trying to get footage toward the end of the year, trying to make the end of the year goals that they were trying to do. And those particular same contractors bump from utility owner to utility owner to utility owner. And if you're in the industry, you hear certain names or certain companies and you start to realize that, okay, we have the same problem, the same different city.
Similar across the street here. There were 2 different companies competing to get in, to get their stuff in. North State was one of them. I think AT&T was the other. And they were disregarding every mark on the ground. We were constantly repairing permanent transformers, everything.
Yeah, they were getting our power, getting our water in the door. Like I say, I know at least from the water side, We sent them 3 different bills, and I would say it's probably equally close to $100,000. Damn,
That'll eat up your bonus at the end, won't it?
eat up theirs. Sure will.
I'd like to get the Loomis contact.
Okay, just give me a card out of the meeting and I'll make an email.
Great, thank you guys. Any other business?
Nice. You got anything else?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, just I want to clarify something,
2,500.
Jeff. Like Jeff and his brother's name was Jeff too, but Parrish, you're talking about the utilities that 811 automatically notifies when you call in a locator request. And then, but they specifically tell you if you call in that request, and every time I have to call a locate request in for something we're doing, I call it in. I'm sorry, I'm old school. I do the electronic online, a ticket. I talk to a person, but they tell you that we will only notify the following utilities.
Yep.
And if you know of anybody else in that area, that have some kind of utility that we're not notifying, it's up to you to make contact with them to get their facilities located. They always tell you that every time they call located. Then the other thing, I brought this with me to show y'all. I shared this at the state meeting a while back at everyone, sir. Yeah, and a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to share this with you all. It's something my company has decided to implement in Texas and North Carolina as a pilot program to prevent unauthorized encroachments on our right of way. And so Texas and North Carolina have the most unauthorized encroachments on our right of way of any of the states that we operate in the United States. And most, practically all of those, thank goodness, are near misses, or maybe involve somebody installing a phone drop or a cable drop or something across us when we weren't there. But we are required by federal DOT regulations to have somebody on site anytime any dirt is disturbed on our right of way for excavation. And, we talk about at a lot of these UCC meetings, we talk about every time we meet damages and who had this many damages, who had this many damages. Well, we don't ever want to talk about damages to any of our facilities because I mentioned before, it's serious stuff, and probably only take one time for somebody to lose their life if they hit one of our lines and it won't happen. And so, you mentioned the NC 60 agreed to schedule or whatever. So if I make contact with an excavator contractor or another utility about crossing one of my pipelines, then if I go meet them and or meet a representative and we talk about what they want to do and set up a timetable for them to do it ahead of time, so I can plan to have somebody out there on site and inspect to protect our facilities and everything around there when they're doing the work. It might be a week from now, it might be 3 or 4 days from now, but what we've been tasked with doing in North Carolina and Texas is, if that occurs, we know we're gonna have an encroachment or crossing. After we schedule it, we put one of these 5-foot flags in the ground right over the top of our pipeline. And it's got our company name, and it's got Williams. There's a yellow sign which represents gas, natural gas. It's got warning, high pressure gas pipeline, do not dig within 50 feet without a Williams representative present. And then there's a place at the bottom where I can write my name and phone number for them to contact. And this is kind of just a reminder because oftentimes the representative that I meet out there is not going to be the installer. are not gonna be the person that actually puts the crossing in the ground. And we have had, unfortunately, several instances where an installer will come out and bury a phone drop across us. Now, granted, most phone drops are only a few inches deep, but, it has happened, so I have to, every time that happens, I have to fill out a dirt report. I have to report it as a line strike near miss. And, so what would happen then is the company would have to come out there and take up whatever they put across us. And then reinstall it the way it's supposed to be done with somebody on site. Verify that none of our facilities were endangered or hit, or anything like that. And so, anyway, we're just, and these are bilingual, they're English and Spanish, and so we're just hoping that we can reduce what numbers we have of unauthorized encroachments or people digging on our right of way for whatever reason without us having somebody there. This is and we've already seen some success with these. As you can tell, it's a little more visible than just a pin flag or paint on the ground or something like this. You can put this in the ground with a big screwdriver or something, stick it down in the ground 8 or 10 inches, and it sticks up pretty high. It's hard to miss this right here. So this is
in addition to your regular placarding that you guys already, your sign is just already out there. This is in addition to, right?
Well, yes.
Yep.
We will have a pipeline marker
Yeah.
on each side of the road that has my company information, a yellow marker. It's gonna be about 5 foot high, they're 6 foot tall, we put them a foot in front. It'll have a label on with all our company information, emergency contact number, what it is, all the kind of stuff required by law. On each side of a road, for example.
So do you let people on your right of way without an encroachment, a properly executed encroachment? So if somebody's burying a phone drop, they don't have to, do an encroachment with you guys first? Really?
But the only things that we do, bona fide written encroachment agreements for are major, crossings. Like if it's some kind of big water line or something that is done by HDD or something like that, we have to do a written encroachment agreement, but typically for most of the crossings that go above us, and as long as we have our 2 feet of clearance between whatever crosses us and my pipelines and whatever's crossings encased in steel, we're fine. The only thing that doesn't need to be in steel when it crosses us is a single phone drop or a single cable drop, and that can be in PVC. But everything else has to be in steel, either welded or screwed steel casing that extends the width of my right of way. And our main pipeline right of way, transcontinental, is about 150 feet wide. So, I just want to show this to y'all today. Like I said, I shared it at the state meeting and took a couple of pictures of it. She said something about putting it on Facebook or something. But, and a couple other people also put some pictures of it, but we just hope it reduces, unauthorized crossings and therefore reduces the chance of something bad happening.
Yeah, let us know how that works. If it does, I guess that'd be a while before you know, but hopefully.
Well, yeah, and if I never have to fill out another dirt form or make somebody pull something up and redo it, it'll be worth.
Any other new business? Matt or Jeff, do you have any?
Yeah, we're doing, can you guys hear me?
They guys know.
He unmuted, but he didn't say anything.
Hello,
Still there, Matt?
can you hear me? Hello,
I'm trying to say something.
Paris?
I can't drink more stone.
Matt, are we in danger?
Do you need to be more safe?
Can you guys hear me?
Andy Fisher's been.
All right, well, that concludes this meeting. Next one you said was February 22nd.
Here, yes.
Hey, y'all, is Guilford County beginning to meet every month?
Yep.
So we did that a few years back. I did away with Guilford used to meet every other month and High Point was in between there.
Oh, I didn't know.
Well, High Point kind of fills Randolph, Guilford. So I said, there's already UCCs for those. Did away with High Point because Joe used to be my chairperson for that. And then since there was so many damages in Guilford County, we just decided to make this one a monthly meeting.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
All right.
Well, that's my fault. I'm sorry. So yeah, we're going to meet the 22nd. So it'll be the Northwest Triad, which covers Stokes, Davie, Forsyth at 10 in Moxville at the EMS 112 Slate Street. And then we'll meet here 1:30 that afternoon.
Hey, Paris, can you hear me?
That Northwest Triad meeting you had was not it.
It was not. It was in Winston-Salem at Piedmont Natural Gas. Yep.
Thought you might have permanently moved.
No, so we're gonna try to do, because the folks that attend the Moxville didn't show up in Winston. So we're trying to do half of the year there because they only meet every other month, right? Half of the year there, the last half at Piedmont Gas in Winston. Yep. And here's Cindy Summers. She's a manager for Greensboro, and evidently they locate Seger, Spirit, MCI, Crown Castle, and Lumen. So that might be a number of names you might want to take down. I wrote it on the sign-in roster. I populated their information in here. If you want to get a picture of the sign-in roster, then you'll have everybody's info. So,
Let's, get in the recording.
yeah, I'm gonna stop it.